Good evening. I'll be in the picture in a second. I had to get the camera set up. I had a little technical difficulty before we started tonight, but welcome to Right on the Money. I'm Pastor Devin. I'll be in your picture in hopefully about 7 seconds as I walk down to the chair. Tonight we're going to be hopefully concluding, Solomon's advice on money. We started this 2 months ago, did it last month, and today we hope to finish Solomon's advice on money. And it's a wonderful thing to listen to what Solomon has to say about these things, because Solomon was the richest man who ever lived. If you didn't see last month, I gave you a list of the top 10 richest guys according to adjusted for inflation, and Solomon was the richest by far. No one was even close to Solomon. And so today we're going to finish up some of his other verses about the advice he has for money, assuming my computer will cooperate with me. All right, there we go. Sometimes I wonder. Technology is wonderful, except when it doesn't do what you want it to do. So tonight we will finish that. So we're in the book of Proverbs. Also, some of our verses come from Ecclesiastes. And Proverbs 28:22 says this: "A man with an evil eye hastens after riches and does not consider that poverty might come upon him." What's Solomon saying here? Don't try to get rich quick. We try to do that. The number one way people try to get rich quick is the lottery. Approximately 1 in 49,999,999 people actually win on a lottery ticket. Your odds are very slim. From the millions in Powerball down to the $100 or $10 gift ones. That means 49,999,999 people are throwing their money every single time they play the lottery. So, give an example. Say you spend $10 a week on the ticket every day for a year. Every week, not every day. I'm sorry, just every week, $10 a week, not even every day. That's $520 a year just on lottery tickets, and you've wasted on a chance to get rich quick. Now, God says this is not the way to do that. Now, imagine if the tickets cost more if you bought one every day. If you bought multiple lottery tickets, I go down every week. I do my banking down in Sheets because my bank moved out of town, and so I have to go through an ATM. And I sit beside this lottery machine, and I see people come up every week. And they put their money in there, and they don't win anything, and they put even more of their hard-earned money in there. It's amazing. This one person, they was so excited, they put their money in, and they got $10 back. They were so excited they won. You know what they did? They put that $10 plus $40 more in, and the next 5 tickets that came out were all worthless. So they took that $10 they had won and squandered it right away 5 times. It's a really ruthless system. Now, if you take that same $10 a week, and you invest that same $10 over the course of your life, say 40 years, at just a 4% interest rate, which is pretty easy to get. That's pretty average across the board. You can get that at the lowest point. You will have, in 40 years' time, that same $10 that you lose every week. Every once in a while, you might hit, you have to think $520 a year. Say you won a $20,000 lottery one time, you still will be on the losing end of this over your lifetime. But if you do this, because 520 times $20,000, that's $20,800 that you paid to win the $20,000. It's not a really good gamble, even if you win one of those. But if you put it in interest, a guaranteed rate, don't even risk it. Just put it in a guaranteed rate. In 40 years, you'll have $97,522.05. Your $20,800 would be $520 a week for 40 years. Would turn into $97,522.05. Just at $10 a week for 40 years. That is absolutely amazing, the power of compound interest. And here's the thing, you don't lose any money. You make almost 5 times your money. Imagine if you'd put $20 away. Imagine if you did $10 a day. Some people do that in the lottery tickets. It's a bad idea. And here's what you got to understand, the government is not poor. The average lottery ticket sales in Pennsylvania are over $15 million a week. Now, it says it benefits older Americans. You see, most of our older Americans, they don't have a lot of it. Every year they complain that when the politic time comes around, I dropped my mouse. Give me a second here. And politics, they complain how they're not getting what they need or that. There's always complaining about their benefits and things like that. It doesn't benefit older Americans. That's a lie from the pit of hell, okay? It does not benefit them. Maybe in a small way, but nowhere near where it should benefit them. If that kind of money was coming in, $15 million a week. A week. Wow, it's a lot of money. That's the average. Now, yes, some people hit a home run, but after a lot of money has been spent, and like I said, 1 out of 49,999,999 people are actually going to hit the big home run. So in the country of America of 350 million people, that means 7 of you are going to hit the big home run. Wow. Put things in perspective. Please stop throwing your money away in a lottery machine. And I didn't ask you to come and give it to the church. Don't do that either, okay? You know what? You give the church what God asked. But what you do is invest in yourself. Maybe you do the simplest thing, you'll receive a return. But if you invest wisely, you can have a great return. There's a story of the talents, right? The guy had 5, 2, and 1. The guy had 5, traded, and got 5 more. Had 10. The guy had 2, traded, got 2 more, got 4. The other guy hit in the thing, and God was mad. Why? Why was the master mad? Because he didn't do the minimum thing and put in interest. Just do the minimum thing and you'll turn out better in the end than taking a chance on the lottery. So don't do that. These get-rich-quick schemes, they don't work. Typically, they only work for the person who got rich by it because they got lucky. Read most of these quick get-rich schemes, they got lucky. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you're building a product and stuff, yeah, hey, you can build a better mousetrap. You can make money. But guess what? You worked at it. You didn't luck into it. You worked at it. Work with all that you have. Proverbs 27:23-24. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds, for riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure to all generations. Another thing about money is make a budget and live by it. Understand your finances. Know where the money is going. How many times people come to me and say, Pastor, I don't know why I'm broke. You should know why you're broke. You should know where you're putting your money at. If you don't know where you're putting your money at, how am I ever going to help you get out of your situation? People go to counselors all the time, spend lots of money on financial advisors. You know what? But if they can't tell the financial advisor why they're broke in the first place, the financial advisor is going to take your money, and you're going to continue to be broke because he's not going to be able to fix your problem until he knows what your problem is. And if you look at where your money's going, you might not need to pay a financial advisor to help you out because you might be able to say, if I change this will happen. Wouldn't that be great? Another thing to do is look at your credit. Credit is a big thing. It determines how much people can lend you, but also determines how much other things can cost, like car insurance, mortgages, even rent, getting a job. Your credit is an important thing. Credit is not a bad thing. That's a bad thing if you get into debt. Credit is not debt. Credit is your worthiness to be loaned. The better your credit score. I have a wonderful credit score. Mine's in the 800s. My wife's is better. It seems always the wife's better than the husband. That just seems to be the way it is. It's based on an old archaic system where the wife was the consumer and the husband was the breadwinner. We know that's not the case today, but that's how the system was built originally. And but you know what? In perfect score, is 850. So if you're in 700 or above, you're in really good shape. You get to 8, you're in really good shape. I have one loan out there. I told you about. I have a car loan. But I'm actually making more money on my savings than I am on the interest paying for the car. So I keep the car loan because I'm making more money in the long run. Good and bad debt. We'll talk about that later on tonight, actually. We'll get to that, a little refresher on that. Solomon talks about that. But you know what? But I could pay it off and be debt-free. It's an ability of you to get the best rates possible while you live. And then figure out your net worth. Find out what you're really worth. Find out what all your assets are. What your house is, what you owe, and all that. Net worth of taking all the stuff you have, all the assets that are worth money, versus all your liabilities, things you owe money to. And you find whether you have a net worth or not. If you have a net worth, that's great because you can build upon that. You can do a lot of things. If you have a negative net worth, hey, well, it gives you a goal to work for. Is I want to be on the positive side of the ledger. Write it down. Because you can't have financial freedom until you know how you can be financially free. You can't get the financial freedom not knowing that you're free. God says if you're faithful in a few things, God will make you faithful over many things. Most people born after 1960 have a tendency to live beyond their means. Most people born after 1980 have a huge, or even more, tend to live beyond their means. And every generation it seems to get worse and worse. They rush into things. They want everything their parents have now. Problem is, your parents worked at what they had. They earned what they had. People want to graduate from college now, or even high school now, buy a brand new car, buy a brand new house, and they don't have the means to support that yet because they think they're entitled to it. And these people out there, give them the debt, give them all this, and they'll go into all this debt, go to college and tons of debt, car loan debt, mortgage debt, and then they're drowning, and may even have a good job, and they can't afford to live even with a good job. Is that crazy? You gotta learn to live within your means. Problem is, you want things right away. Take your time. You don't have to do it all overnight. Take a little chunks at a time and build it up. You know what? It's a lot better to take it chunks at a time and then end up with net worth than with a whole bunch of debt that you wonder how you're ever going to get out of it. And you're depressed all the time, and you have bad money manager produces bad thoughts and nightmares in your life. It just does. It affects relationships with everybody else. A budget helps you keep it in perspective, knowing where you're at. You need to know where you're at so you can know where you're going. You can't get somewhere without knowing where you're starting from. If where you're going is a couple 100 miles away, but you think it's only 10 mimiles away, you're not gonna put enough gas in your tank to get there. You need to know how far away it is and what you got to do to make it happen. And along with this, you get Proverbs 21:20. There is a desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it. So when you look at your budget, then look at it and spend less than you earn. But I want that. It's okay to want things, but you need it right now. There's a cost to everything that we do. Well, I can get it right now. People, you can put zero down, zero payment down, pay later. You know what the problem with those schemes? And I've taught them over and over again. Pay later. The problem is you don't have the money now, but they say later you can pay later and you'll have the money then. If you don't have the money now, you're probably not going to have the money later. Because other things will happen in your life between now and then. 18 months, no interest, same as cash. But if you don't pay it in 18 months, it charges interest all the way back from the beginning. If you can't afford the payment now, you're not going to be able to afford the payment in the future. I had a pastor friend of mine, I hope he's doing better. I used to look at him shaking his head all the time. He'd go and buy stuff for his kids, buy stuff for his family. Say it's no money down, no interest for 12 months. And I'm like, yeah, you've done it for like 10 other things. You can't afford to do other things. They come back and then you ruin your credit. You ruin your rating. You have to borrow and beg for other people to pay your bills. How does that glorify God? You would have saved for it and say, okay, I can afford this payment now. If you can afford to pay. Here's a great thing. Now, those things that give you like 12 months or 18 months to pay at 0%, they're a good deal. If you say, hey, if you're gonna pay it anyways with interest, just don't wait the 12 to 18 months paid. Start paying it every month for those 12 months so it ends up being the same as cash. Because the moment it doesn't end up being the same as cash, they go after you for all the interest. It's a horrible, ruthless game, and they don't tell you that up front. It's in the fine print. Another thing, you sign a contract to buy something, read everything. Read everything. Can't tell you that enough. Read everything. They're going to tell you can afford this stuff, but here's a rule of thumb. If you can't afford it right now, if you can't make payments on it right now, don't buy it. They'll say, but I really want it. Okay. I'll make it a goal. Then when you get it, you can afford it, it doesn't stress you out. You get it now, you enjoy it for a while, but then you end up regretting it for the rest of your life. Wouldn't you much rather be waiting, eagerly anticipating it, putting money back with a goal, and spending a short period of time doing that, then be able to enjoy it for the rest of your life rather than regretting it for the rest of your life? What a better concept. It's a novel concept. Okay? All right, so keep that in mind, okay? Think about, what are you, when you do the budget, are you spending more than you're making? If you are, make some changes. Because your situation will never change unless you decide to make changes. And doing a budget, knowing your credit, knowing these different things helps you make those changes. Knows you where you can go in life. All right? The world likes to stress this. You need these things to be happy. I can mention a whole bunch of other things that will make you happy. Your kids love you. Your wife loves you. Your husband loves you. Your family loves you. Your church loves you. You feel fulfilled in your job. You actually like to get up in the morning because you don't have the stress of this giant debt hanging over your head. Those are all great things. Peace of mind. There's no price in the world for financial peace of mind. There is nothing that you can pay, more to have that. Effort is worth it. To put the effort in to have the financial peace of mind. Proverbs 22:7, the rich rules over the poor and the borrower is servant to the lender. Now, okay, so a lot of people take this and people should just live 100% debt free. Yes and no. We live in a strange world. Now, there's good debt and there's bad debt. Oh, Pastor, there's always bad. All debt is bad. No, not the case. Bad debt is what Solomon is referring to in this verse. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. If you're a servant to the lender, then you're in trouble. Okay? But if you're not a servant to the lender, then you're not in trouble. I'll give you an example. I taught you about my car, right? I had a choice. I could pay the car off immediately when I bought the car. But I worked out a deal where I got 1.9% interest rate. So the life of my car loan, my interest rate is going to be about $789 for the life of the loan. That's all the interest. I'm like, okay. And on top of that, I got a $200 cash back for signing a loan for 1.9%. So I'm only going to be paying about $589 interest over the life of my loan. But then I have other investments, my retirement fund. I told you earlier, you can get 4%. One of my lowest ones I have with Nationwide. I think right now it's 3.75, just 104. But I'm getting 3.75% on the money invested there. But I'm paying 1.9% on the car. Now the car loan is going to be over in a couple years. I still got 20 years to make money for retirement. It's better for me to keep the car loan and put the extra money I could put there into my retirement because I'm making more money on that. Now I have other accounts that are making 10, 15, 20%. It's good to be diversified. We could talk about that one time on one of our classes. It's good to have different things. Depending on how old you are, you might want to be more aggressive or less aggressive, depending on where you are in your life and what your financial goals are. We're not here to talk about that tonight. But you know what? I ran the numbers. I could have paid it all, but it took me a while to earn that money. And it's only cost me $589 over about a 4-year span. But at the same time, I'm taking the money that I would have paid that off with, saved that $589. The last couple of years, I've been able to put a couple $1,000s away into my retirement, and I'm making more money. I'm making more, almost double at my bare minimum than what I'm paying on interest in the car. So yes, there in that scenario, that is a good debt because the car also was appreciating about it because I was able to put down some money in them cars, and you also look at the cars too; they depreciate. But right now, my car, I got a great deal on it. It's still worth more than the Blue Book. It's worth more in the Blue Book than what I owe. So guess what? I am not a servant to the lender. I'm actually using the lender to help me put more away for the day I retire. And that's a longer period of time where the money will sit there for a longer period of time. So you got to do, it takes effort to figure these things out. It does. We need to be able to do that. Don't let the lender be in power. Bad debt is when you get things that you don't really need, or you get in every head like credit cards. Now, I've told you many times, credit cards are great. I love credit cards. It's other people's money. If anybody ever steals your credit card, you don't have to pay a dime. That's what the law says. They steal your debit card, it's a whole different story. And I've had so many people come to you horror stories of debit cards. Please cut your debit card up. Because it comes out of your bank account, and you have to prove to the bank that someone stole your money. It comes out of a credit card, you just got to say, hey, that wasn't mine. And then the bank has to prove it, and it's easier for them just to write it off and just to give and to go on with you. So much, Benny. You only write one check a month. My bank reconciliation is so easy. I don't even do a check anymore. I just transfer the funds from the bank to the credit card, and that's all done. As long as you pay it off every month, it's the same as cash. There is no interest, and then you can make money on top of that. I get 1.75% on everything I spend. Every year I go on vacation for free because of credit cards. It's a wonderful thing. But I have a whole class on it. You can look it up online go to New Beginnings Church Punxsutawney on YouTube and look up Right on the Money. I have a class called How to Go on Vacation for Free. Explains you how to play that game. It's a wonderful game to play. As long as you play it properly. But you know what? But you can make the money. But see, once again, I'm not a servant to the lender. The lender actually pays me. They lose money on me. I'm okay with that. And you know why they're okay with that? Because 90% of the people lose money to the credit card company. Learn how to beat them at their game. But you know what? Bad debt is when, okay, I got to have this almighty fancy car to go on. But if it's not in your budget and then as soon as you drive off the lot, it's worth less than they paid for it. It's not a good example of a good decision. Work up to the point where you can afford it in your budget, where you're not the servant to the lender. The Bible doesn't say you can't owe someone. It just says don't be a servant and don't let them make your life miserable. Okay, because there's something like we got to buying a house. You can save up forever to buy a house, but your dream house comes up and it comes up the right price and the right interest rate. Do the math. Hey, it might be better to buy it then at that interest rate and then do the math over time and see, hey, if I would have bought it later. A lot of people go, I'm going to buy it. I know a lot of people are going to build their house debt free. Problem is lumber goes up, nails go up, everything goes up in time, interest rates go up. and when they save enough money, then it costs even more because it's all 5, 6 years down the road, and they need more money to build the house. When they would have borrowed it back then, they had a smaller interest rate, and everything was cheaper back then. Would have been done over the long run. They would have saved money in the long run going with that. Churches, I tell churches all the time, if you're growing and you're busting at the seams, going into debt to build a building is not debt. Because if you wait, you spend all your money trying to raise money to pay off a building debt free, what's going to happen is you're going to lose people. Momentum's going to go backwards because it's going to take you forever to raise the money. It starts out great, then it trickles in. It's the way fundraising always happens. And then what happens over years, the building costs more, and people never get the church building built. If you take in a loan, say 6-7% loan, a construction loan on a church, but your attendance is growing and your tithes and offerings are growing by 8, 9, 10, 12%, guess what? If you keep the momentum going, you're actually what? You're not a servant to the lender. You're actually using the lender to make you money. That's a good way to do things. That's what business is for. The thing is, don't ever let the lender have power over you. And if he does, then you need to find a way to get out from it. That goes back to making a budget, not spending more than you earn, and getting your way out of it. Yeah, it could take some time, but trust me, it's well worth it. When you no longer are a servant to the lender, life is so much better. Proverbs 30:25. The ants are people not strong, yet they prepare their food in the summer. What does that got to do with money? We are to be wiser money, and we are commanded to save. I say commanded. It is your duty to learn how to save money. In order able to meet this command, you have to have money that can be saved. If you follow these simple steps we talked about last month and this month, and do these things, you will actually have leftover money at the end of the month, and then save it. Okay? All right? And what they want, why? So you can enjoy the things you want to when you want to. So you can do things and say, okay, I can go ahead and take this vacation, and it doesn't affect my family budget because I've been saving over time. Or I can do this with my child, or I can buy this thing I've always wanted, and it doesn't stress you out. God doesn't want you to be stressed out. And also, there's always going to be a time in life where you're going to have a financial crisis. Wouldn't it be better to know that you have money put back? That okay, I'm not going to buy this, but I had this medical bill. But I don't have to worry about doctors coming after me for all these bills because I got it taken care of. What a great thing. What a great thing to have peace of mind. God wants you to have savings. Now, God says, I'll supply your need and do all that. But he says also, though, you have to be, says in the Bible, you need to be a good steward. Solomon wrote all this about money. You can't just go depend on God to be your piggy bank. Yes, God has a great piggy bank. We have access to his bank account. But also, though, he wants to see, are you a wise steward? Are you worthy of him investing in you? Make yourself worthy of investing in God. Let him turn your savings into something absolutely amazing. And look at the Bible. There's the answer for every situation when it comes to money. There's that answer the Bible to every situation known to mankind. God wants you to enjoy things. You know what? One of the worst ways people get into debt is at Christmas time. They feel the pressure to buy gifts for all their friends. That's great. Okay, it's not bad. But we want to give to one another. That's great. But going into debt to do is bad. A lot of people, what they do is they go and then they hope the tax refund pays the Christmas debt. Yeah, but don't you? But what if your tax refund doesn't come out the way it does? Or what if a bill comes up between then and the tax refund? You need to spend it somewhere else. When you be ready to put back money and have a Christmas fund, and at Christmas time you go out and spend the Christmas fund, and it doesn't affect you at all. Spend the 11 months putting it back, or when you get your refund, put some money back, and then when your Christmas is over, If the next year you get a refund and you don't have any bills, then you can pocket, and that becomes pocket money. You can pay off bills, or you can start building your own net worth. Oh wow, what a great thing that would be! You know what? Because when you're financially sound, you have money saved up. It's a lot easier to be generous. God wants to be generous. He wants us to test Him in His generosity. We talked about this year at Feast of First Fruits. If you missed that, go on to our Feast of First Fruits on the New Beginnings Church. I have a Skittles example. It's really cool to see. It really explains how God wants to bless you financially. I'm specifically talking about. But it makes giving to God easier and giving to your fellow man easier, because you know what? You feel safe and secure. Now, you're never supposed to just trust in yourself. You trust in God. But God says, follow these steps, and I will make sure that those things turn out prosperous. What's prosperous mean? I believe in a prosperity gospel. I don't believe in the one you see on TV. I believe God says this: if you do what God has to say and you do it the right way, what God says, I'll make sure you're prosperous, meaning you don't have to worry about anything. That means you have access to all that God has, and God owns it all. That means you have access to everything. There's no reason to be jealous of anybody. You actually have access to everything. Isn't that amazing? If we do what God says with our money, God says He'll take care of us. He'll take that pressure off of our plate. And then we can be like God, and we're generous. God will make sure that we can be even more generous. So you need to live to save. Live in a way that puts money back for the rainy day. And if the rainy day never comes, boy, then you can do some things you've always wanted to do. And then you don't have to stress yourself out. I know a lot of people go on vacation, come back from vacation, and they're stressed out because they don't know how they're going to pay for the vacation days went on. Don't do those things. You know, if you're going to enjoy something, enjoy it. God wants to say He wants to take the stress out of your life. Not that you have to be overflowing with money, because sometimes we overflow with money. It actually puts more stress in our lives or makes us become less of a good person. Right now I'm watching a show on TV, on Netflix. It's not a Christian show. But I like old style shows. It's called Downton Abbey. Actually, the first episode I almost turned it off because but then we've watched it since then. It's about this old English family had this big estate. They had servants, they had footmen and valets, and did all the stuff for them. And they walked around, and they went to church and stuff. That's what they did in the early 1900s. But I looked at it and said, man, it would be neat to live like that. And I looked at myself, but if I lived like that, would I really have the perspective of God that I have? And as you go through the thing, these rich people are always under pressure. And really, you look in the real world, everybody's always under pressure. Either they're under pressure in their job, keep the business afloat, keep their employees paid, something's going on at home, someone's spending all the money, or they become a hermit, don't want anybody to come near because everybody's asking them for money. They just don't have the life they're supposed to have because they have worries. I said, I'll give you a life without worries. You'll be financially independent. You don't have to worry about anything because you're dependent upon me. Which brings us to how do we do everything that we talked about last month and this month? Proverbs 24:6. For by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and in a multitude of counselors there is safety. We need wise counselors when we wage our own wars. And the number one thing people fight over in this world is money. Think about it. Husbands and wives, children, politics, countries, oil. What's it all about? Right now, everybody's complaining about the price at the pump, the price at the grocery stores, all this stuff going on. It seems like we revolve around money. I will propose to you that the pursuit of money is an ongoing, never-ending war for almost all people. What I want to help you do is be right on the money so it doesn't have to be a war in your life. Money is a tool, not the end-all of end-all things. God says the righteous are never forsaking, they're never begging bread. That means when there's no money in your account, God will make sure you're taken care of if you follow His principles. You don't have to worry. What a great thing. And that's happened in my life fortunately, on one occasion. Now, the first couple of times I was complaining to God, and then God had to hit me upside the head. And I had to realize, okay, God, you've got me. Whether there's money in the bank or there's not money in the bank. Now, the key word here is you need to be around wise counselors. That's very important when it comes to money. If your counsel is a friend of yours who's just as bad off as you are, don't listen to them. It says that apparently they don't know what they're doing either. Find someone who's doing well with their money. It's easy to find them. Go to church. Find somebody who's happy. Oh, but they're not rich. Remember, rich is a state of mind. Are you happy? Are you have no worries? Now, just because someone has a lot of money or a big business doesn't mean that they're really good with their money. You know, most people kind of luck into it. Now, there's people that do a good job and earn a good thing and do that. But those, I find by and far, those are ones who listen to God's principles. Find someone who's truly happy in their life. They're happy in their life. They're not being dominated by money. If you find someone who is successful in business, but they're always worried about money, they might not be real good with money. Because if they're successful, why are they worried? Because God's blessing them, they should be fine, right? So find someone who's happy. They might have a lot less money than you, but they're doing something different that you want. Now, if you're in a big business decision, okay, great. Go out and find a business guy who's happy. Because that's really what it boils down to. You can make all the money in the world you want, but if you're not happy, does it really matter? If you don't feel loved, does it really matter? Some of the best businessmen you find have given up things in order what? Because they wanted to do other things. They didn't feel fulfilled. At one time in the world, Andrew Carnegie, was the richest man in the world. But you know what? He came to a point in his life. I mean, his steel industry was huge. Everything he had a monopoly. He wasn't happy. So he ends up selling his fortune to J.P. Morgan. Oh, not his business, not his fortune. And he ends up being one of the greatest philanthropists ever because he chased the dream to try to be happy. Found out having all the money wasn't happy. I don't know if Carnegie ever reached his dream. He ever really became happy again. God wants you to be happy. Be happy wants you to be in control of your money. Not having your money control you. And even that, remember, it's not even your money to begin with. Everything's God's. God wants you to be happy with what He's given you. Then He can bless you with more. Whoever is faithful in least, be faithful in much. Okay? So look for that. So I hope you enjoyed this series on Solomon's advice. Next month we'll go into some more practical things. If you have suggestions, feel free to send it to us. Right now, let me pray for you today. Dear Lord, we pray for all those who have watched this class over the last couple of months, Lord. As we endeavor, Lord, to set people free from the worries of money. Follow Solomon's advice. Solomon followed it, and God blessed them to no end. And Lord, I ask you, Lord, to help us, Lord, to be blessed, to not have any worries in our lives. To be with us, Lord, and those who have questions, those who are worried, Lord, come in and show them there is a way out. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You've given us a step-by-step process. And if we do that and stick to it, we too will become successful, and we will be right on the money. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Oh, remember, until next time, that Jesus loves you, I love you, and you are absolutely awesome.